my face and say hello. We are live. Welcome to this Meet the Miniaturist live stream. I'm going to bring up my special guests in a moment, but in the meantime, while we wait for folks to join, please do say hello and tell me where you're joining from. I see some familiar names. Great to see you guys. Hi, Susan, Dave, Charlene. Yay! So let me go through some of the things that are happening before I bring up my guest. In terms of previous Meet the Miniaturists, as well as some upcoming estate sales. So, for the first thing, please do go check out my previous Meet the Miniaturists live streams. Well, they've been pre-edited and taped. One includes Elizabeth Gall. She's from Half Blind Miniatures. She is located in Ohio, and she does the most beautiful shell work coming out of, starting with primitive boxes and hand painted boxes, just beautiful work. And I also got a chance to speak with Anna Belogorova. I hope I got that right. And she does the most beautiful artisan hand turned metal work in small scale. She was just honored with an IGMA artisan status from the Guild of Miniature Artisans. If you guys are not familiar with them, I'm going to pop in all of the links to these guys in the comments section. But in the meantime, go check those out. They're on my YouTube channels. Be sure to like and subscribe. If you're just joining, please do say hello. I'm just going through some things that are happening. Hi, Tilda in the UK. Jurgen, hello from the family room. That's awesome. So what else? So actually, both these artisans that I just had a chance to chat with in recent Meet the Miniaturists are both going to be at the upcoming Guild show, which is happening in Hasbrook Heights, New Jersey next weekend. So if you guys haven't made plans to go, there's still a chance to go and make some flights if you don't live around here. I'm actually in the New York area, but do join. You look into going to the Guild show and seeing some of these artists that I was able to chat with in a Meet the Miniaturist recent Meet the Miniaturist broadcasts, podcast, video podcast. I don't know what to call it. It's a podcast. It's a live stream. If you're just joining, please do say hello in the chat box. Also, and kind of importantly, I have an estate sale happening. It's starting tomorrow. It's the tail end of the Sharon Zanassi collection. She is a West Coast, no, she is also a West Coast collector. She's looking to downsize. And so this is the fourth part of four, part of the estate sale of lots remaining that if you're looking to shop and buy, please go take a look at that. I'm going to populate all of those in the chat box, which I just did. Go check that out. It's an estate sale that's happening now, starting tomorrow. There's also links in my bio to preview some of the sales that are coming up. So I have a number of collections that I am working on with beautiful, high quality artisan and commercial manufactured miniatures like Best Pack, etc., that I think you will really like. So check that out. In the meantime, if you are looking to downsize or sell a collection on behalf of somebody you might be working with or a family member, please do reach out. Again, my information is in the chat box, and so you can go check that out. So with that, I would like to introduce our very special guests. Andrea Stark and Robert Dawson. Andrea, I'm familiar with. She has been on previous Meet the Miniaturist to sort of tease what we're going to get a full look at today, which is this absolutely beautiful French chateau, which was built in collaboration. It was built by Robert Dawson in collaboration with Andrea Stark, and we're just amazed and excited to have them both with us. Hi, Robert.
Hi there. Hi,
And absolutely thrilled to have you guys here to talk about this awesome partnership between the two of you to create this absolutely stunning, extraordinary French chateau in 1/12 scale. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a look at the house, of course. And Robert, you're going to be able to take us through some of the inner workings, but behind, how you got to this place. But I think what people I think would love to hear, and I know I love to hear, is sort of how this partnership sort of came about. What comes first, the vision, the discussion. So why don't we talk about the very, very first rumblings of this vision, before we do a deep dive into seeing the house and seeing all these wonderful photographs and video that Mickey Stark was able to do, your son, collaborator on the creative piece. So thanks and shout out to Mickey on that. So tell us, how did this start, guys? How did this all start? I don't know who wants to go first.
So I for me, it started with an email from Andrea saying, would I be interested in building a structure for her? I think was the word she used. She said that she was looking for something quite romantic, quite full of light. She promised that she would be a very good client to work with. She actually said she was very easy to work with and would make decisions, which was great news. And we kind of rolled on from there, really. I mean, it was a process. Once we made the initial contact, I always said yes, would love to do it, be interested. We went through a series of ideas. Andrea sent me lots of photographs. I sent her photographs, and we just kind of discussed ideas and slowly began to formulate sort of some plans. I sent a couple of drawings of some potential ways we could do it, and we kind of worked on from there, really.
Yeah.
Andrea, what's your memories of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think I missed asking this part, but talk a little bit about your area of expertise. How do you categorize what you do? You're clearly a builder, but you're an artist, you're a miniaturist. Talk a little bit about how you would introduce yourself.
So I'm fundamentally a model maker, but I trained as a theatre designer. So my passion is model making. I love making models. I've always loved making models. I started working in the theatre. I trained, as I say, as a theatre designer, whilst making models for the theatre. It was a part of my process of designing. And I realized that actually I kind of preferred making the models having to deal with actors and directors. So I stumbled into first the model making world and then the miniatures world. So I think that how I describe myself, I would say that I'm a miniaturist who's primarily interested in telling stories through the miniatures. I love the process of model making, but I like the end result. I like actually producing something which tells a story.
Yeah, I love that. So Andrea, now, for folks who might not know who you are, talk a little bit about how you got to where you are. You're clearly a collector, like a fine art miniature collector. Talk a little bit about how you got to where you are in your interest level. And then can you take us to the point where you started to talk to Robert about this project that you had in mind?
Well, I always loved doll houses and dolls. And I started like about 20 years ago when a dollhouse shop, like a toy shop, closed down, and she offered special pieces to regular customers. And I saw this dollhouse and, had to walk around the block a couple times to think about, would that be something for me? Yeah. And after 5 minutes, I'm like, yes, hell, this is for me. And yeah, the rest is history. And what I particularly like in dollhouses and miniatures, just like Robert, I love structures that tell a story. Yeah. You can use your imagination. Yeah. And I also like that you can go completely different directions. Yeah. Like this lovely structure, but then you can, on the other hand, you can have like a little tea shop or a hat store or something completely different. Yeah. So it just allows me to tell different stories that I always have in my head to do something. Yeah.
So let's talk about the French chateau and how this idea came about. And by the way, if you guys want to see more of what Andrea is talking about in terms of all these other structures, check out the previous Meet the Miniaturist. So we got to look at all of those different things, like the shops and all of the other structures, and they're all so beautiful. So let's talk about the French chateau. How did that idea sort of spark in your head? And then let's get to the discussion with Robert about how to bring this to life.
So, my initial idea was, the story I had in mind was kind of the maitresse of like a richer French gentleman, and he would build her a house, and in kind of like outside Paris. I wanted it to be very full of light, elegant, sophisticated, but a little bit toned down, not over the top glitzy.
Yeah.
So I started researching a couple builders, because with this project I wanted to work with someone I hadn't worked before with. So I researched a little bit, and I came across some structures that Robert had made before, and I was really, really impressed with all the details. And I thought, like, I just wanted to contact him and see if he, might be interested. And, right away I had a very good feeling that he completely understood what I was looking for. And he sent, as Robert said, he sent me pictures, I sent him pictures. He had some terrific suggestions that I really, really liked.
Yeah.
And so it came together, and it was all together. It was truly a wonderful, very smooth process.
Yeah.
And I'm actually looking forward doing other projects with Robert again.
Awesome.
You hear that, Robert?
I heard. So I will look forward to it.
Talk a little bit about, was this the first project that you worked on for Andrea?
Yes. Yeah.
So this was the first sort of collaboration. This is the first time. And talk a little bit about that sort of relationship and the ease. Clearly, you have this beautiful result, and that doesn't always come about. So talk a little bit about the dialogue that happens and how that gets translated into the final piece.
I think dialogue is exactly the right word. I mean, I think a successful project really depends on that. For me, that collaboration with myself as the builder and the client. I'm not building something purely. I am building it to a degree for my own satisfaction, but it has to be for the client as well. And that can be a really beautiful thing, that actually you have two people with ideas, and when they gel, you get a third thing which is great and really interesting and exciting. And I like that. I love that process. It's a process I enjoyed in the theatre, that collaboration thing. So with Andrea, it's fabulous. We had that rapport. I had the ability of being able to get ideas being bounced back at me, which was wonderful and constructive. So I think it's a really, really important part. For me, it's a really important part of the process, that collaboration with the client.
Yeah. Well, it definitely shows through, because look at what you have as a result. So let's also talk about that process and what that looks like from the start, because I'm going to share some of the images of your in progress work. So does this start literally with sketches? Talk a little bit about that, and then how does the back and forth go between the two of you?
So, well, again, for me, I mean, yes, a little pencil sketch first of all, a couple of little pencil sketches, just giving an idea of the structure, the basic format of the piece. Then I normally will produce a more detailed drawing like the one which you just showed. From that, I would start making a maquette, small scale maquettes, series maquettes. Firstly, showing the exterior, that we would probably agreed with that, and then I started working on the interior, working out the layout. Again, for me, it's very important to have a flow through the building, so it's not just simply a box with boxes inside it. It really has a feel that you enter into the house, you progress through the various rooms. Again, telling a story of that journey.
And so And Andrea, have you? I'm assuming you've been filled in, and you see these updates, and what's going through your head as you see these developments happening?
When you start working with somebody you haven't worked before, there's a certain level of unknown.
Yeah.
But when Robert, he sent me regularly like progress pictures, and I would guess I sometimes got a little bit on his nerves because I wanted to see pictures. And I was right away, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is turning out like way more than I ever expected. I was really, really super excited as we
Yeah.
went on in the whole progress.
Yeah.
And actually, I don't think we changed anything, or I came back and said, no, I want this bigger. It was all from the get-go, like super perfect and exactly what I had imagined.
Yeah. And so Robert, I mean, we just saw paintings. I mean, talk a little bit about the other, besides the structure, which is enough, the other contributions. Do you do the hand painted pieces as well?
No, I mean, I paint the exterior of the house and such like.
Yeah.
I've been working with a colleague, a lady called Ella Callow, who is a fantastic young artist.
Yeah.
I've worked with her on a couple of projects, and this was the first time I really was able to get her to do a lot of the sort of miniature painting on the walls. So there were two rooms in particular, the boudoir and the dining room, which she painted the walls for, walls and the ceiling. And that was really exciting because it was bringing that another person in, another person's talents in. And she, all of those panels that you're seeing there were hand painted by her. That was really, really, really nice thing to be doing. Yeah, that's very much. She's very much part of the sort of model room family now. And
we're going to do a deeper dive in sort of the furnishings. But for the moment, Andrea, so while all this is happening, you're thinking interior. So
Yes.
and collecting and creating the pieces that will go inside. How did you manage all of this at the same time? Like, talk a little bit about that process.
Well, I mean, before we even really finalized the plans, I already started collecting, and I always have boxes where I label them Robert's house, and then as we go, I put pieces in there and, hope that will work out. And then, going to shows, I see things that totally inspire me, like the bedroom. Like I saw that bed, like 2 years ago at the Chicago show. It's like a Le Chateau interior bed, and it had kind of what you call that, like the whole bedding behind it, like that whole draping. But that wasn't exactly what I wanted. So during the show, I brought the bed to Robert's table and said, "Hey, Robert, I really, really like this bed. Do you think that would work?" So he said, "Oh, this is fabulous." And then he took the bed, took off all the draping around that frou-frou stuff. And then he used that fabric for the paneling of some of the doors that lead into the bedroom. And he integrated it so nicely. So it just looks really perfect. But then, you have a certain amount of pieces that you have collected, but then comes the structure, right? And then I'm so excited because it's so fabulous and wonderful, and I love it. And so I could hardly sleep the night before. And then you start putting pieces in there, and you have a picture in your head, but then you realize some pieces really don't work out, and you need to find others. And so it's a whole process. It takes quite a while to find the right piece that I really wanted, and it looks perfect.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about some of the challenges. I mean, you talk a little bit about, all right, changing a little bit of direction here and there, but what are some of the major hurdles that you think Robert, if you will, like what you might be faced with. Let's say if someone out there wants to take on a project like this.
I mean, they're a technical challenge. I just wanted to pick up the thing about the bed, actually, that Andrea was saying, that, you know, that was a really good example where I'd started building the bedroom. I was kind of pleased with it, but I didn't really know where the focal point was going to be. Andrea turned up with that bed, and I was able to adapt the room a little bit, but really very easily. And it really worked. And it sparked that room, I think, that bed. And that was a really nice thing where our two worlds kind of collided and produced something really nicely. Challenges, there were technical ones. I was really excited in this house. One of the things I'm moving away from with my work is reliance on small little light bulbs. I'm getting too old to be able to fit them in, frankly, or to see them. So I'm more and more interested by the idea of having ambient light, rooms being lit but through windows and such like. And that's one thing to do with room boxes. It's much harder to do it in the context of an entire house. So that was really interesting to try and make that work. So to have a backdrop which would work consistently through the sequence of houses, without simply having a huge, great backdrop hanging behind it.
Right.
The technical problems of that were challenging. I'm not at all computer literate. So my daughter was able to help me with that and piece it together, which was great. And I think that for me, that's one of the things I find I'm most pleased with this house, is that sense of transparency and lightness. It was at the very, very beginning, one of the pictures that I sent Andrea, and I think we both liked, was through a corridor, a stone corridor, through a door into a garden beyond that. And it was a lovely, warm French countryside beyond that. And I loved that contrast and the sense of the outdoors beyond the house. So that's one of the things I really wanted to capture with this house. And I think we got somewhere there with it.
Yeah. Well, here is the interior. So please do stop us and bring out the discussion about the bed. And also, is this the portion that you were just talking about, that view?
That's the beginning of actually that was an independent view, because it kind of links with the rest of it, but absolutely, it was that sense that you weren't going to be just greeted by the back wall of a room. The hallway which we just passed, there's a window on the side of the stairs which illuminates the stairs, and kind of links with the window from the boudoir. So and again, you could just glimpse there the corridor beyond. So absolutely, that sense of sort of light from behind, beyond, from a world beyond the house. That's the room that I was speaking about, or one of the rooms which Ella did the painting for so beautifully.
I have to say, I didn't even, I mean, it's a magnificent piece, but now that you're mentioning it, oh my goodness, the perspective and the focus and the detail and the extra. Okay. So take us through some of these rooms. We're in the dining room, Andrea, right? This was the piece that you were really wanted to get right.
Yes, that was the one room that I was super excited about. Yeah. And I had sent Robert a picture of the real dining room that exists with this kind of wall paneling. And Robert said, yeah, sure, we can do that. So I was like, oh my gosh, like, wow. Yeah. And when I received the house, I was completely floored. I could not stop staring at those walls because they are so wonderful.
They really are.
So my challenge, to come back to your question before, was because the structure is so beautiful.
Yeah.
I felt like a certain pressure that I typically don't feel. I wanted to furnish and decorate it like perfectly and make Robert proud. Because I appreciated so much, like what he did. So this is the kitchen with some dolls. The doll is from Lily's Littles, and it's filled with like all porcelain pieces by Dominic Levi. And then there's another doll I absolutely love by my friend Sharon Carriola.
Yeah.
And a little pantry, and he is like in the process of making wine, and you see the light in the back through the window.
It's
This is
stunning.
not light coming from my window, it's within the structure. It's just marvelous. And
It really
you know,
is.
like just the little details, like the curved wall. And
Yeah.
then this Robert, I want to talk to you to talk about the boudoir a little bit.
So wait, so just take us through the overall house. There's 3 levels.
3 levels, okay.
And that consists of 12 rooms. And we saw the dining room and the entrance hall. Tell us.
So this is the lower floor, the basement kind of. So on the left, you saw the pantry and the storage for fruit and vegetables.
Yeah.
Right there. And then,
And what is the scully? That's a new word for me. I saw.
a scullery is more, it's kind of more a British thing, but this wouldn't be it. The scullery is more where they would wash the dishes and store like pans and pots and all that. So this is if you manage to go back a little bit.
Yeah.
So this is a floor up. If you go a floor up. Right there, the boudoir. So okay, we can go with the flow. So this is a room that was kind of my idea, because I have a big passion for porcelain pieces. I just love collecting miniature porcelain. So I asked Robert if it was possible to dedicate the room just to porcelain, and he said absolutely. So he built those magnificent closets. They're all lined with fabric. And it was just so thrilled how this came together. And you see pieces like, you know, by Mayuki and Jack Cashmere, whose work I absolutely adore, and Christopher Whitford, Henny Staring Edwards, and Teresa Welch. And then I love also those little rooms in the background where you kind of get an idea where it could lead to.
Right.
A little secretive, and just love the lighting.
And again, there's awesome use of light, because that whole back piece is lit. So Robert, talk about the lighting and what it took to get this piece lit. I mean, you're talking a little bit about it, but like, tell us.
So a lot. I use a lot of little LED lights. It's a very, very simple process. But in the case of that's the salon we're looking at now, there's a big back scene there which is lit. It's a theatre thing. It's that idea, looking through windows, seeing a space beyond that, and hinting. So you probably can't see it there, but there's a balustrade beyond the windows, and a suggestion that there's a balcony, and the trees beyond that, and the trees link up with the trees below, so that actually, if you stand away from the house, it makes sense that there's this garden which flows through the houses. I mean, it's just talking about the furniture. You know, the porcelain room in particular is a great example that it's a room that I love seeing it now with all the porcelain in it, because when I sent it to Andrea, I was very pleased with it. It was a room, but it's an empty room, and it has potential. But wow, it looks fabulous now, and it has warmth and it has character, and it feels like someone has lived there, and that's tremendous.
Yeah. Can we just talk about that? The fact that this is a round piece. I mean, it's just beautiful.
So this was a room which was based on a room by Herbert Gavici, owned it, a house in Paris. And I mean, how I tend to work is I look through a lot of books on French architecture, and I see rooms and think, oh, I'd like to make that. And this was one of those ones. It was a big double-page spread in a book, and I thought that would make a really nice salon. And that was it.
It really does. And all of the flooring is just stunning. Okay, so this is the salon. This is the salon, Andrea, right?
Yes, it is.
And
This is a big salon that actually gave me a little bit of a headache because it's you would think like, a big space is easy to decorate,
yeah,
but like you don't want the furniture to get lost in it, but
Yeah.
you also don't want to overcrowd it.
yeah,
So I think I rearranged that sofa and those chairs like at least 30 times till
yeah,
I got like, okay. And I think Mickey got like, yeah, it's fine, it's fine. And I'm like, no, it's not, it doesn't look right. So
yeah.
it was actually quite difficult.
I bet. I bet. I mean, you think because you have all the space, but you have to fill it, and it has to feel correct.
Yes, you have to fill it and you don't want to overfill it. So,
Right.
which, I hope I didn't. So,
Yeah.
but
That looks
I
great.
love it.
I
I
hope
love it.
fantastic.
And again, if I can just say that I think that that's how you furnish that room is lovely because it again has stories in it. You look into the room and you see the figures, and there's an activity happening. And it's not dramatic. It's just really interesting. It sucks you into that room. I think
It really does.
which is fabulous.
And I think despite miniatures need a chance to breathe, to have their own space to breathe. And I think the way you've placed the objects, they all are allowed to sort of be and present themselves in the best way. Just beautiful.
It doesn't to me, it doesn't feel like a showcase. It feels like a room which has been lived in and which the furnishing has been moved around by the occupants, and it's a comfortable space to live in now.
For sure.
Oh, perfect. That's exactly, what I was trying to achieve. I love the feedback. Thank you.
Yeah. It
It's
definitely
very
feels like there's a snapshot in time, which we love for miniatures to do, and to your interest in creating that special time. It does it. It does it. It really does.
That's good to hear.
So, okay. So now, is this the winter garden room? What is?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love, I had envisioned right away like palm trees in the back there. So Jeanette Buchholz from Germany, she made those. And once I got the palm trees, I was like, okay, this is perfect. I love it.
Yeah, it really is. It's a lovely room.
I think it was for me. This was probably the trickiest room because when Andrea first talked about it, it was the one room which I didn't really have a clear view of. And in fact, we ended up. I mean, we changed the color at least once of it because it just. But again, we both looked at it and thought, actually, you know what, this doesn't work. So now I think it looks great. I'm really, really pleased. But in a way, it's been realized beyond what I imagined because I couldn't really get a grip on this room. And so when I see it now, and it looks fabulous.
Yeah, everything is beautiful. And are those tile floors? Are they faux painted? What are they?
They're hand painted. It's card which is hand painted, but
nice, beautiful.
Okay. Can we talk for a second also about all the light fixtures in there? They're all by already Marceline, I think, right?
Yes, Marceline, of Once Art.
And they're especially in the dining room. Some of them are just so beautiful. Like, it's like really blown away by it. Really exquisite work.
For sure. Absolutely. All right. So now we move up to the third level. Tell us what rooms are up there and what we are seeing. Yeah.
So this is kind of like a little bathroom. In the back, you see this chair. I was so happy with this. It's like a toilet chair. They used to have it like, and then they would kind of swivel the top, and in the chair is like a little kind of bowl. And then the servants would take the bowls out and, clean and stuff like that. So Christina Noriega made that for me, and I've seen it somewhere. And I was asking if she could do that, and she said, "Yeah, sure, no problem." So I'm super happy. And then here's the bedroom with that one bed we talked about earlier, and how that beautifully fits in that little niche there. And then paintings through the house, except ones, are all by Johannes Landmann.
Yep. Wow.
And then this is the artist room. I figured the lady of the house, on the side, paints a little bit. And I really like how that came out. Love it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's just
That was the fun room.
beautiful. I mean, we could spend days and days and days just in every room, just every room. It's just incredible. It's interesting hearing you, talk about now seeing it come to life. And I mean, I'm sure it's bringing up, oh, wow, look at how this comes together, like the porcelain room. What's most surprising to you, Robert, seeing all this and talking about it now and yeah, just talk a little bit about that.
I mean, it's not surprising, because having built up a relationship with Andrea, I knew her taste, or had some good idea. I had every confidence this was going to be a very beautifully dressed house. It's really exciting for me to see that, because as I say, when I saw this house last, it was empty, wrapped up, all the lights are off. It was a shell. So for me now, seeing the photographs of it has been great. It's something which has been brought to life. The building takes a project like this to a certain point, but then really it's handed over to the client to breathe, put that final bit of life into it. Otherwise, it's a house of potential rather than something which is realized. Yeah. So I'm thoroughly delighted by what Andrea has done with it.
How long did this whole process take? When did the idea come to you, Andrea? And then to now, and we realize it may not be complete. It's never really complete. How long is this process?
Well, I had the idea, contacted Robert, and then we really, I think, like fast, we agreed on what it should look like, how many rooms, and kind of the details. I think we worked that out fairly fast. And then the building took a little longer.
It was a moot point at times. It was about a year from Andrea's initial contact to when I actually had the carcass in the studio and was physically building on it. But that year was I mean, I was working on other projects, but also I was able to, we were discussing ideas, we were sending photographs backwards and forwards. So by the time I actually physically started, I had a very, very firm idea of where we were going with it. They always take longer than I imagine. And I'm always optimistic and say, it'll be 6 months down the line. I mean, it's a year down the line, but
but it was worth the wait. It was definitely worth the wait.
Of course.
Good.
Obviously, as a collector, you always want it faster. You want it like yesterday.
Yeah.
But like seeing it, I realized, how many details there are, and all the hand painting, and just the aged mirrors, for an example.
Yeah.
This all takes time, and you don't really want to rush it.
Yeah. So a year in development, and then another year to build, or more than a year?
Probably
another year.
Probably a bit more than a year of building, if I'm honest. But
that's not bad. I mean, really, that's not bad for what what you're coming out with. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Well, I kind of, hopefully this will be around for many, many, many years to come. So that temptation of, I could cut this corner. It was pointed out to me many years ago by a colleague that actually we were building things really for ourselves as much as for the client. So it's very hard to disappoint yourself when you're building something. So you just think, I can do that. I can add that in. I'll add that little detail in. That's the sort of fun of it. I mean, the joy of it, really. I'd hate to just be doing the job, plodding through.
Yeah. So there are countless awesome fine art miniature treasures in this house, and it would take us so long to go through them, but these are just a few of the photos of some of the treasures. Do you want to talk about that? And then you wanted to talk a little bit about how the artists were involved in this process, and how you would like to recognize them.
Yeah, so Mickey and I made a list, actually in alphabetical order, who is represented, and we counted there's like over 65 artisans who contributed, and this is by Stefan Wein, for example. There's so many incredible, talented artists that without it, this would not be possible.
Right.
And I'm so grateful
Yeah.
how everybody gave me such beautiful pieces. And this is by Johannes Lampman, like very old, like I think like 20 something years, one of his first pieces. And I'm just so grateful, to all those people. This is by collaboration with Peter Christo and Henny Staring Experts, like just like the details, and it's always blows my mind how this is possible. Jack Cashmere, a porcelain piece I absolutely love, also by Jack Cashmere.
That's
Just
beautiful.
always blows my mind how this is possible to create so beautiful things in such a small scale. Jack Cashmere and the flowers were by Jeanette Buchholz, Stefan Wein, Dominic Levy. Just there's so many, and I would love to mention them all, but
Yeah.
probably if we have another hour, we could do that. It's just I'm so grateful.
Yeah. And ultimately it is a collaboration, whether you're commission pieces for the structure, for the house, or if you're purchasing, it's a collaboration. And it's at the end of the day, you're supporting the arts, you're supporting these miniature artisans by showcasing their work in your beautiful structure. So I think it just all works so beautifully together.
Yeah, I would think that too. Yeah.
So I'm going to just go back and share the exterior not this one. Sorry. Hold on. I want to share the exterior so that we can sort of close out and maybe take a few questions if we would. Does anybody have, there were a couple of questions that came through. Tony wants to know, what was the hardest thing to find for your new house? And is there anything you're still looking for? Good question.
Oof. The hardest one, believe it or not, were the chairs in the entry hall. Because I think I have at this point 4 or 5 different beautiful options, but none of them felt like the perfect chair. And then I came across on Instagram and saw that Trianon had shown those little chairs, and I absolutely loved them, and I knew they would fit perfectly. And then after 4 or 5 different chairs, finally I found the perfect one. So that took a long time to find the correct piece.
Yeah.
That I was happy with.
Is there still something in the back of your mind that, you know what, I still would love to have that piece to put in that room, and if I find it, I'm going to get it?
Actually, I'm debating in the big salon. I'm working on a needlepoint rug right now. It's like, I don't know, 200,000 stitches or whatever. And I'm like 30,000 down. So I'm debating if to put like a area rug in there or not.
Yeah.
Because on one hand, I think Robert's floors are so beautiful.
They are beautiful.
But it would be almost a shame to cover them up. But then, so I will have to see if this is something that could go in there.
Yeah.
And then other than that, I think like it's more like coming across, seeing something and like, oh my gosh, that would look nice.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. But I think like it's like 95% done and finished the way I wanted it.
That's awesome. That is just awesome.
Yeah.
So if folks want to find you, I know you have a very active Instagram account, right, Andrea? Where you post a lot of your treasures and you post details about the artist. So it's really a wealth of information there, which is fabulous because it's also a service. And it's also a historical it's getting everything down on paper so people know what's going on. And then we have one more question, and then we're going to wrap up. Robert, what was the most challenging part to build? That's a great question. What was
actually probably the doors, those front doors. They are a copy of doors. There's a house in Paris which I was desperate to see. I'd seen photographs of it. I dragged my wife halfway across Paris to find it. We were greeted by a locked door and a very high wall. She, being the sort of bright spark that she is, waited until someone came out. We stuck in, managed to take photographs of it. And they were really, it's a very, very unusual door. And it was great. Actually, it was great fun to make, but it was quite a complex job because there was involved etchings and lots of different moldings and things. But I was pleased with how they came out. And actually, particularly because they're painted blue, they really have an impact, I think, to the facade.
They really do. We did get a comment about the color of the door. It really is just beautiful. All right, so Andrea, you have an Instagram account. I'm plopping that in the comment section. Robert, you also have an Instagram account. And is that the best way? Is that the best way to reach you if folks have questions? Open to
the best way to reach me is to email me, robert@themodelroom.com. I've got a Facebook page, the Model Room Facebook page, which has quite a lot of photographs and things on it. But yeah, drop me a line.
All right.
I'm always happy to get emails and always try and reply to them.
Yeah. Well, guys, this has been absolutely fabulous and a wonderful treat to actually see and hear from both of you. I mean, I think this partnership it shines through so brilliantly with the results. So thank you.
A real treat.
Thank you for sharing that, and thank you for coming on. And thank you, everybody at home, for watching. I really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks.
You
Take care.
Good to see you. Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.